Okay, so this topic is about contained availability groups, which are new and has been introduced only on from 2022, SQL 2022. It's not there in the prior versions because when I posted something in my group, I got one of the answers saying that it is there even on 2019. No, it's there only from 2022. The first thing first, so that is a clarity. This is a new topic and this is only pertain to 2022, not in the older versions. So why we are into contained availability groups? So that is the first question that comes to our mind. Why contained availability groups? As you know, the most trickiest part when Microsoft has introduced always on availability groups is syncing up with the databases. That is fine. But when it comes to other objects like uh, instance level properties like logins or jobs or alerts or linked servers, whatever the properties that get saved in master MSDB databases, it's not getting replicated to other replicas. That is the challenging part what we had in our previous versions. So Microsoft would like to address that. So first, what they did is, how many of you are aware of always on in managed instance? Do you know always on in managed instance? Anyone who knows has configured or something like that? Okay. First interview. Let's talk something about this. Just an interview question. Can we configure always on in managed instance?
As I know, it is a default like provision by Azure.
Yeah, so manage instance is providing you the default always on availability groups in business critical architecture. The only thing is you will not see the configuration at all. It's being created by them and we don't have any option to verify how it has been created and what are the things. But if you notice properly in business critical, there is one property in business critical where you can check whether you are connected to the primary or you are connected to the secondary. The manage instance name looks one and the same, but when you are connecting, you can specify this option. Like if I go to database engine, if I pass the manage instance server name, and if I go to the options and in the additional connection parameters, if I say application intent equal to read only, it will connect you to the secondary node. Okay, so how to differentiate, because the name remains the same, right? In the manage instance, when I pass the server name, it looks one at the same, everything looks same. So in that case, there is one property. I think it is something called as database property with the option by name updatability. Let's check that. So once you check that option, it will show you whether you are connected to the primary or secondary. But the thing is that why I'm talking about managed instance now, because the contained availability group feature, what Microsoft introduced 2022, it's already there on managed instance. So the jobs and the logins are there on my secondary instance automatically. And I'm saying you, they have implemented this technology on managed instance first, and they are copying the logins and the data and the jobs accordingly to the secondary replicas. So that is happening on managed instance. So they pulled out the same technique and they have introduced the same thing on 2022. That is the internal, that is the background of the container availability groups. So that's the reason I just thought of talking about managed instance. Okay, so managed instance is supporting the always on availability groups, and that too, those are nothing but contained availability groups, and it is available only on business critical because general purpose architecture is tied to clustering. It looks like something like SQL FCI, but business critical, it looks like always on availability groups. That is the difference when it comes to what is it? General purpose and business critical managed instance architectures. So let's move on from there. And if I go now and if I show you, so I wanted to talk about contain availability groups, right? So what is the best documentation what we have? Definitely it is Microsoft documentation. So what is contain availability group? As you can see, whenever you are referring to any topic, guys, very simple. It's very simple thing, but still many people will not use this. Check this option. When you are referring to any Microsoft documentation, first and foremost thing is check this option. If it is showing applies to SQL 2022, that means it is only applicable for SQL 22. It's not applicable for other
Contained availability.
versions or even on. Azure SQL or something like that. Okay. So that is very, very important thing. So when you are checking any documentation of Microsoft, please check this option and verify that, check the options. Like if it is pointing to Azure SQL, or for example, in my group, someone has posted whether we can do OLE automation procedures. So we don't know what is OLE automation procedures. Imagine. So if I am in your place, first definitely I will go here and I will just say OLE automation procedures, and this is the page that comes up. Okay, I'm just taking that, and it says applies to SQL Server, means only on SQL Server. It's not applicable on MI. It's not applicable on Azure SQL. So that's how we can categorize whether this topic, whatever the topic, is applicable for Azure SQL or Azure MI or on-premises or Azure VMs, whatever it is. So in that way, we can differentiate. So for the moment, when I'm referring to contained availability groups, it is applicable only on SQL Server 2022. That is the first thing.
This
So
contain availability group is not there in MI. Already you said that is available in
it's
MI,
there
right?
in MI, it's there in MI, but it is the hidden technology. It's the hidden feature. You will not see availability groups. If I connect to my MI, even on business critical, okay, if I open this tab, okay, for your information, I don't know if you've seen my past videos, you will never see this tab. Always on high availability, it will not be there because they have implemented from their end. It is internal to Microsoft, and that too on MI, we don't have the operating system, right? We don't have the operating system. That is also one more thing. And how will you copy the other stuff and all? It will be maintained by Microsoft. So you will never see this option. This, what can I say? This icon will not appear in MI. But when you are referring to a topic, this is just a kind of help that I wanted to share. Okay. What I'm saying is that they imported the same technology and they are using the same technology, but they are doing it from their end. We don't know. If I wanted to do content availability groups, I can do only on 2022. I cannot do it on MI because it is being done from their end. Okay, that is the difference. So why contain availability groups? Why should I use contain availability groups? So as I said, all the metadata objects like users, login, permissions, agent, jobs, all these things are tied at the instance level. And if I wanted to leverage that functionality to other replicas, whenever it gets failed over to other replicas, we have to make use of our own techniques. I don't know, because there are many different techniques. Most of them will try to use DBA PowerShell tools. Even I am a big fan of DBA PowerShell tools. In our case, we are using the same thing, but we have developed our own scripts as well. There are other scripts that helps me to find out what went wrong if something gets failed over. If there is anything missing, we are getting alerts. So we have developed some customized scripts for them with the help of PowerShell tools on top of those scripts, what DBA PowerShell tool has implemented. So I am using that. So in your in your environments, definitely you will have your own techniques. So the main problem is whenever it gets failed over to another node, sometimes there will be mismatch of SIDs, and sometimes there will be missing of logins, sometimes it will be missing of jobs, sometimes you have to you will miss the linked servers. There are so many things, right? So you have to sync up everything in always on, which is a huge burden on the DBS. So to overcome that, we can make use of contained availability groups. Just like contained logins or contained users, what we had in 2012, it's the same thing by name. This time it is pointing to contained availability groups. Okay. So any questions till now? It's just a basic what we are discussing today, but in the upcoming classes, I will try to introduce more scenarios. Today also we have demos, but though in the upcoming part 2, we will have more interesting demos. Any questions? Did you understand what is content availability groups?
Completely. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
So in my setup, I thought of doing this right from last week itself, but unfortunately, I messed up the things. Not me. What I can say is, for the moment, if I pass this statement, it will be a huge statement. So I cannot pass this statement, but I will still show you. I tried to do this on 2022. Windows 2022. Again, I'm saying, I'm repeating, it's on 2022. So this is the article what I posted on LinkedIn. So I was trying to set up availability groups of SQL Server 2022. It's there only on SQL Server 2022, but I was doing this on Windows 2022. Again, I'm repeating, it's on Windows 2022. Okay, when I'm trying to set up this on Windows 2022, it's getting failed. It's getting failed means we are getting crash dumps. I'm getting crash dumps, and SQL Server is getting terminated automatically. For some reason, it is getting terminated automatically, and it is creating the stack dump. Stack dump is nothing but it will just dump the contents of whatever it is there inside the registers into our text file. Okay, so into not text file, it's called as the DMP, MDMP, mini dump files or dump files. So this is how it looks. It's getting crashed. SQL Server is getting crashed. In simple terms, SQL Server is getting crashed when I'm trying to implement content availability groups on Windows 2022. Okay, so I was asking this question to few people. I don't know how many of you are aware. This guy, Edwin M. Sarmintio, he's one of the best that we can see when it comes to high availability and disaster recovery. So I posted this question, including few names. So he has come back to me and he asked me to raise a case with Microsoft. The interesting thing is when I'm trying to configure a normal availability groups, it is getting succeeded. But when I'm trying to do it on when I'm trying to do content availability groups, it is getting failed. So I don't know why it is. For the moment, I think most of you might not make use of Windows 2022. So that might be the reason. For the moment, I don't know the answer for this. But in case if you're trying to test this on 2022 and is working fine, kindly let me know. Okay, so it was not working for me unless at least. So that's the reason I picked up Windows 2019 now. I'll just show you my version. So it is Windows Server 2019. Okay, so if you are doing it on Windows 2022, let me know if it is working fine. So these are my nodes. I have only two nodes. Let me show you my configuration. So I have two nodes, SQL Node 1 and SQL Node 2. These are not part of any domain. Again, I'm repeating, these are not part of any domains. It's just independent nodes. Okay, so still we can configure always on. I hope you're aware how to create availability groups without cluster also. We can do it without domains. We can do it without clusters. Anything is possible now. Why? Anyone knows the reason why we can create all these things? From when? Which version?
219.
219.
2019, 2017. From 2017, they introduced this because Microsoft has come up with a new ideology where they introduced SQL Server on Linux. Since they wanted to support it on Linux, I cannot go with domains. I cannot go with clustering features, all those things, because Linux is a different operating system altogether. So if I wanted to develop a product which is independent of the operating system, so I have to break down all these things. So that's why Microsoft has break down this clustering setup, which is mandatory, and the domain thing and all those things were broken down. So now we can configure our clusters anywhere, whether it is SQL on Linux or Kubernetes or Windows, anything is working fine now. So for the moment, I made use of clusterless availability groups, means I don't have Windows cluster. If I just open this up and if I say clue admin, that feature itself is not being enabled. So if I just type clue admin, no, I didn't enable that. So this is clusterless availability groups. Again, I'm repeating, this is clusterless availability groups, but you can configure this on domain also, just like what you do in your on-premises. You can do domain controller, the node 1, node 2, everything can be done. For the moment, I didn't make use of that because it's easy to set this up. So that's the reason. And even if I go to the always on availability groups, if you see Windows Server failover cluster, this computer is not a node in failover cluster. So I didn't configure failover cluster. Means this availability groups is called as clusterless availability groups. Okay. So I just have,
Sorry for the interrupt, Vamshi, but
Mm.
automatic failure is not possible, right?
Yeah, automatic failover
For
is
this.
not there. It's only support for read-only purposes. Automatic failover is not there inside clusterless availability groups. It's not possible. So if you want to read about that, you can refer this article, clusterless availability groups. So this looks like this. Okay, so they can, I think they have mentioned this at the top, I believe. Uh, no automatic failover. It's only for reading purposes. It cannot be treated as DR purpose. Okay, that is one thing. So for the moment, I made use of same thing. I didn't create domain controller just to avoid the extra work. Okay, so now coming to our topic, let me delete this also. So I will do it from the scratch. So it will be interesting. I'm deleting this. Okay, it's gone now. It's completely empty. And SQL Node 2, it is still here. Better I will delete this also. Probably I might get error. I think so. I'm just expecting. Let's see that. Mm, maybe it is trying to do something and it's not delete. Okay, it went. So it's a clean mission. We don't have anything. Always on availability groups is completely empty. Nothing is there. Here also nothing is there. So now I wanted to configure availability groups. So if that is the case, first I will go here and I can go with wizard or availability group, whatever it is. So I'm picking up the wizard. The first step, availability group name. I'm saying AG test. So if you see here, cluster type, generally we will see three types, right? Inside the cluster type, we will have three types, external, none, and when you configure Windows failover clusters, you will get that type. But now we are not seeing that. External means it is something like for Linux or Kubernetes. For now, I am not even having external because this is Windows operating system, and I have to go with none. The cluster type should be none when you are configuring clusterless availability groups. That is the important thing. And we have this support right from 2014 or 2012. I don't know the versions. We have these options, but the main important option is this one, contained availability groups. I will talk about reuse system databases later, but this is the button. This is the new feature we are talking about. Cluster type is none in my case, and here is the button contained. So now we are going to create contained availability groups. That is the difference. Before creating contained availability groups, I would like to create the normal one, normal availability groups, and then I will show you the contained availability groups next. So this is none. Okay, so I think I have AdventureWorks. I can go with this, and don't ignore these two databases, guys. We'll talk about that later. AdventureWorks and adding the replica. SQL Node 2 is fine. I don't want anything else. Okay, next, automatic seeding. Next, next, finish. This is the traditional availability groups. This is not contained availability groups. It is in progress. Even if I get errors, it's fine. I think I have not granted permissions to the NT authority system. Okay, I have granted. Okay, sorry. So it got created, AG test. Now, this is the normal availability group. I will try to create one more database, and I will add that database to contain availability groups, test DB. Hopefully it will be full. Okay, recovery model is full. Nothing is there, but doesn't matter. We just need to understand the concepts. Task, backup, test, it's done. Now, if I come here and if I go to add database, now it is test DB, what I want. Oh, come on, I'm sorry. Next, one second. It has to be this wizard, not that wizard. So now a different availability group. Now this is contained availability group. So I will say contained availability group. And now I am making use of this keyword contained. And here I'm picking up test DB.
But we need to select none, right? For external or none, right?
Yeah, did I select external or?
Yes, you selected external.
Okay, let me none and then next SQL Node 2. Sometimes we will get a feeling that we are going to encounter some errors. So let's wait for it. I'm not sure. Let's wait for it.
Vamsi, here
Oh.
is no need to create a database as a contained database, right?
No, you don't need to create it as a contained database. It's a regular normal database.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
I expected this. Something will happen. Connection timed out. SQL Node 2. Okay, let me see. SQL Node 2. It's working fine. Okay, so better, I would like to show you one important thing rather than focusing on these errors. I would like to show you one important thing. You see this icon. I will just zoom this. I'll take snap and this one. I'll paste it in MS Paint. Just keep a note of this icon. So it is traversing both sides, right? I mean, we are having some databases, some servers, and the arrow marks are going backwards and forward, something like this. Just keep an eye. And then once we configure contain availability groups, even the icon would differ. That's what I read. So let's see this. I will delete this one because I'm getting some errors. So I don't want to mess this up. Let me delete this. And let's go. Looks like something happened to node 2. Node 2. Is my SQL down? Something like that. SQL is up and running. Okay. Okay. Is it still there? I'll remove this. And I'm creating the new one. Just wait for it to get deleted. So my question is, since we don't have domain, this mission is part of availability groups, right? Sorry, this mission is part of work group. So how I am able to connect with node 1? I mean, from node 1, how I'm connecting to node 2, and from node 2, how I am connecting to node 1? This is not part of domain. This is domainless and clusterless. Anyone knows this? If you wanted to practice from your end, this is the important thing. That's why I'm asking this question. Did you get my question?
Yeah, bro, is this in same subnet or multiple subnet?
This is in same subnet. Even though you are in the same subnet, if you are trying to ping with node names, it will not come. Okay, unless you perform this action. So I'm just letting you know, guys, if you wanted to practice for yourself, okay, you have to add this in your host file. Okay, so I did that. If you check my host file, you have to do this. Otherwise, you can connect only with IPs. You cannot connect with node names. Since we don't have the concept of domain, we don't have the concept of DNS. Since DNS is not there, it is not possible to connect with names. So the resolution between names and IPs happens with the help of DNS manager. Since I don't have the DNS here, since these are domainless servers, we have to add inside this host file. Then only you will be able to connect to other nodes. Otherwise, it's not possible. You have to do this step, and it has to be done on all the nodes. Don't forget that. Okay, so let me refresh
Where I can
this.
add, can you?
Okay, you have to add this inside this path, C colon Windows system 32 drivers etc, and you will find a file by name host. Go there and just pass the IP address of the node 1, IP address of the node 2. Of course, this is this is listener. You can ignore this for the moment. So when you are doing for the first time, add the IP addresses of the missions on all the nodes. So if I go to my node 2 also, I did this just to show you up. This node 2. Yeah. If I go here and open my notepad, see, I added this. So if you don't perform this, you can connect only with IP addresses, but not with names. That is the problem. So this is resolution. So in real time, this is being taken care by my DNS server. But since I don't have the concept of domain, since I don't have the concept of DNS server here, I have to come up with my own techniques. That is nothing but adding the entries to our host file. Okay, so now if I go and I'll try to set up the contained availability groups. I'll say CAG, none contained AdventureWorks. Hopefully it is deleted over here. I'll delete this because if I go with seeding, the database has not to be there on the secondary node. So that's why I deleted that. Adventure works. SQL node 2. Asynchronous commit. It's fine. Next. Automatic seeding. Yeah. Next. And then I'm clicking on next. So I didn't configure listener here. If you observe this, I didn't configure listener. So this tab is empty. I didn't configure listener. I will configure it. I will configure it later. So it is trying to create the contained availability groups. I cannot view it from Windows clusters because I don't, as I said, this is clusterless availability groups. Let's wait for it. Now I will get some error. I think so because I didn't click on reuse the system databases. Those system databases are already there. So I will get error now. I forgot this. Let's wait for it. It's okay to get the errors. Did I create AG1 master and AG1 MSDB? Just for your information, guys, I didn't create those databases. These databases would get created automatically if you add your database to the contained availability groups. So it will be with the name availability group underscore master availability group underscore MSDB. These two databases would create automatically if I choose the contained availability groups. That is the first and foremost important thing. I just created those content availability groups. That's why you are seeing these databases. And now you will get the error because I didn't click on reuse the system databases because the system databases is already there. I didn't click on reuse the system databases. So definitely I will get an error. So let's wait for it. I forgot that topic. Anyways, it's a new thing. So you will learn something new.
One
Again,
question,
That means that it's an override, right?
it has to override the system databases, not the original system database, or not this master and model. Okay, this, so you will get two new databases created automatically for this database, content availability group database. So that is nothing but availability group underscore master and availability group underscore MSDB. Those two databases would get created automatically. So in my
And what is
case,
the purpose of this?
yeah, I will
Database?
talk about that. I
Okay.
think I will get error, but I think it will try for 1 minute or so. The logic is for 1 minute joining the secondaries, and then it will fail.
So Vamshi, one question.
Yeah.
So, like as you said, these are creating right by
Hmm.
automatically like,
Hmm.
whenever you are selecting. So, are they going to talk with the existing master and model databases and move the database to this?
That is what we need to see. Just
Okay. Uh,
wait for a few minutes. I should
yeah.
have clicked on reuse system databases. I forgot that. It's fine. It will fail, but I have to wait for that error.
And
So,
before that, we
irrespective
are
of
not able to add the replica. Why? I missed out. So what did you change
I
on
didn't
host
change
file?
anything. I didn't change
Okay.
anything. Looks like it. Uh, I don't know the reason. Frankly speaking, I don't know the reason. So I just deleted the existing availability groups and then I'm creating the fresh content availability groups.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh,
maybe some metadata was there, it cleaned up when you removed, as I assume.
yeah, I'm just playing left and right. So there are chances for.
So, my question, Vamshi, so existing server, okay, when you're talking to migrate,
Hmm,
okay. So
hmm,
go ahead troubleshooting this. Maybe I can ask later.
I will cancel this. It will not work. I know. Let me delete all these things. I should have deleted and then I should have shown you, but it's fine. And I will delete this.
See, right now you are working on Azure VM, right?
I'm on Azure
Okay.
VMs. Yeah.
Okay. In normal scenario, in on-premises, without cluster, we have to mention the server name in host file, right?
Anywhere it is one at the same. Whether you are on premises, whether you are on VMs, if you are not leveraging DNS functionality, you have to make use of host files.
But this is 2019 onwards, right?
No. It's there from, I should say, from 2003 or maybe Windows 2003. See, forget about all these concepts. If you wanted to communicate with server name, what is required? Let's talk about
DNS.
basics. DNS, right? Without DNS, you cannot interact with server names. So if I say www.google.com, so it is for our human for our understanding, we are using the names because we cannot remember the IP addresses, right? If I say google.com, it is very easy for me to remember. If I say 7.8.9.10, it's not possible for me to remember the numbers. That's why there is a concept of DNS, which is nothing but resolution from IP to names or names to IPs. It's happening with the help of DNS servers. DNS servers are there right from 2000 or maybe even before that. Okay. Here, here we are talking about SQL servers and the support for clusterless availability groups. It has been introduced from 2017. Okay. So it is there from 2017, and I'm creating clusterless availability groups. Means I don't have clustering feature. So, and here in my case, on top of clusterless availability groups, I am not even making use of DNS also. Okay, so I don't have DNS and I'm not using clusterless. So I'm using clusterless availability groups. So if I wanted to talk with node names, so there is no DNS, I have to make use of my host file for me to interact with other nodes. So this is the concept of DNS is there from very maybe from 2000, but the support of I mean to create the clusterless availability groups or to create the domainless availability groups, it is there only from 2017, SQL 2017. You got the difference or still confusing? I know these are a bit advanced topics, but if you have any questions, it's fine. You can ask me.
Bro, these are normal virtual machines or SQL virtual machines. Just after installing virtual machine, we are going to install SQL Server, or
Yeah.
it is came with the pre-installed SQL.
No, this is not pre-installed because let me show you that part. I thought of doing pre-install. Okay, if I go to create Azure virtual machines from the portal, there is no support for 2019 Windows operating system and SQL Server 2022. Let me show you that. So if I go here and if I go to the images, okay, I'll show you. Just wait for it. So if I go SQL Server 2022, these are all pre-loaded images what you can get from marketplace inside my portal. So if you see, I have SQL Server 2019 on Windows Server 2022 and SQL Server 2022 on Windows Server 2022. I don't have the combination of SQL Server 2022 on Windows 2019. It's the vice versa what you are seeing, 2019 on Windows 2022. But I don't have 2022 SQL on Windows 2019. So that's why I downloaded SQL 2022 Developer Edition and then I installed on the machines.
Okay, thank you.
I want to share one more info, Vamshi.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have done in on-premises 2022 with Windows 2019. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So everything was good. Okay, we haven't observed anything other than the features we have. Okay, I
Okay.
don't want to discuss right away to waste your time. So, but strange thing is we use replication in it. So it is completely showing different things. Okay, synchronization failed and user not having access. Some GUI exceptions. Okay, with SSMS 19 with 22 combination, we are having some issues. If you go and use the 18 version, that is older one, which is pretty good, and as expected it is working. This is kind of one of the bug which I raised with Microsoft. I yet to get response, but this is one more finding I want to share with you.
Yeah, there are few bugs. That's what I can say, especially with content availability groups. We are seeing few things. Let's see. Microsoft definitely will try to address them. I think now it is nothing is there. Everything is fresh. Okay, I will remove this also. Whatever it is there. Drop fail. Okay, I think we have to delete from here.
What is this full version you are working on?
I'm using again this
Standard
topic.
edition.
Developer edition. Developer edition.
Developer.
I don't have standard. This is just for testing, right? So, and I think standard edition is also supporting content availability groups, if I'm not wrong. Let's check that.
Yes, it will support standard.
Yeah, I think they have written somewhere standard. Not here. Maybe I think the support is there. I'm pretty sure. So as I told you, we have different types of availability groups. Basic availability groups, which is for standard edition. Contained availability groups. Right now we are discussing distributed availability groups. I already have I've shown many demos on this. There are few videos on my YouTube channel. Domain independent availability groups. Yes, we are doing what we are doing right now is domain independent. We don't have domains. Of course, failover clustering availability groups, you are very well aware of this. So we have different types of availability groups. Right now, if someone asks you in interview what are the different availability groups that you have worked on, you can say all this, that you are aware of all the different types of availability groups that are there in the market. Okay, now I believe everything will be gone for sure. Oh, still it is deleting. Now I can delete this. Okay, now this is fresh. Nothing is there. Sorry, guys. Now you can see it's the same thing what you are seeing, the regular stuff. Nothing, no availability groups. Nothing is being configured. So now I will go ahead and create the availability groups. So click. I'll say CAG test. None. Contained. This option, if I wanted to create one more availability group, contained availability group, since the system databases would get created, I can make use of the existing system databases. So we'll talk about that now. So let's first finish the configuration. So this is the first step. Contain availability groups. I can choose any of them. I will go with AdventureWorks and SQL Node 2. Next, I am not configuring listener. We'll talk about that later. And now finish. So now if you see databases, refresh. So I have not created this CAG test master, CAG test MSDB. It has created on its own in front of you. You have just seen that, right? Now if you see everything went fine. So what I'm saying is, if you are doing contained availability groups, there are two databases that gets created automatically. First one is availability group name underscore master, and the second one is availability group name underscore MSDB. So these two databases would get created automatically along with the user database. That is what I'm trying to show you. Did you get this? This is the first topic, guys. First important thing. These two databases would get created, master and MSDB, with the availability group name, whatever what you have passed. In my case, it is CAG test. So it is CAG test underscore master. And the second name is CAG test underscore MSDB. Clear? Or questions? Even if I go here and if I expand this, these are my replicas. And if you see availability databases, I didn't add these databases. It comes automatically for you. Is this clear or any questions?
Means if you add any other database, automatically it will pick existing master and MSDB databases.
So if I add one more database, for example, test is there, right? So let's pick up test. Okay, so let's pick this up. For whatever the databases, how many number of databases, what I have, it doesn't matter. It will try to make use of these two databases, master and MSDB. So let's do this. None, test, next, finish, done. Okay, so even test is part of always on now. If I refresh this, you can see test is synchronized. And if I go here, it will be synchronizing because we are going with asynchronous model. Okay, now I didn't get any other system databases. So for all the databases, whatever you are going to add under this availability group, we have these two databases that gets created automatically. So these are contained availability group related system databases. Again, I'm repeating, these are contained availability group related system databases. Something like concept of in Oracle PDB, CDB. So I don't know if you have worked on Oracle. So there are, we can just correlate this with the CDBs and PDBs, something like that. Not exactly, but we can correlate. So these two databases would get created automatically if you are creating the contained availability groups. Okay, what is there inside my system databases, you will come to know. So first, let's create the listener, and then I will show you the differences and the importance of these databases as well. So how to create listener now? This is clusterless availability groups, right? So how to create listener? In real time, I don't know if you worked on Kubernetes or Linux or anything else. So if you wanted to create clusterless availability groups, and if you wanted to create listener, so it will be like this. So the important thing is create the cluster name, listener name, and you have to give the IP addresses of the node names. Okay, don't give some other IP addresses. It's not possible to connect. I'm repeating again. If you wanted to make use of clusterless availability groups, and if you wanted to create listener, you have to give the IP addresses of the node names. So that means if you fail over this node, if you wanted to fail over, again you have to drop this availability group and you have to create a new listener with the secondary servers IP addresses here. So that is the challenging thing. That's why clusterless availability groups are not meant for automatic failover, because the listener will not get failed over because listener is taking the IP addresses of the nodes, participating nodes. Did you get this? I know I am trying to introduce clusterless availability groups and contained availability groups together. It's little hard to digest, but I'm sorry. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm okay with answering them. So now, if I wanted to create listener, okay, this listener is empty now. So I have to create a listener. So I will say alter availability group name. What is my group name? CAG test. So CAG test. Add listener name is clusterless availability group with IP. I'm passing the IP addresses of the node 1 here. Okay.
Obviously,
Node 1.
I have one doubt. Why the listener name is required? If you're not going to fail over, means so why the listener name is required? We can stay on one node.
No, clusterless availability group is meant for reporting purpose, right? As I told you, I don't want DR. I just wanted to make use of reporting purposes. Okay. So if I go with the concept of listener, I can make use of connection string like application intent, read only, and it will redirect me so that all the active connections means the write connections will be pointing to my primary and the read connections will point to my secondary. Only that is possible with the help of listeners. Without listener, it is not possible.
Okay.
So I'm doing this now. I'm creating a listener like this, and I'm creating. It got completed, I think so. Refresh. So now if you see, I will show you one error. If I try to connect with listener, it will not happen. I'll show you that. Clusterless AG, right? Clusterless AG. You can use Windows authentication, but right now I'm using SQL. Okay, it went fine. Clusterless AG, it went fine. But if I try to connect it from node 2, it will not happen because I have to properly. Oh, clusterless edge is already there in my entry. That host file is having this entry. That's why I'm able to connect. If I use some other name, definitely it would have not been connected. Okay, these entries should be there inside my host file for me to connect with listener name. Otherwise, it will fail again. There are so many things, guys. So we'll talk about that. Is it clear? Like the listener, we have just created the listener. Forget about listener for a second. Now I will show you the important things of cluster availability, content availability groups. This is important, not about the listeners. If I go now and if I connect with, I have connected with listener name, right? Are you seeing that master and MSDB databases? First thing, if you connect with listener, you will never see master and MSDB databases. That is the important thing. First point that needs to be noticed. See this, if I connect to my server name, then I am able to see master and MSDB. But if I connect with listener name, then I am not able to witness master and MSDB databases. That is the first and important thing that needs to be noticed. Second thing, okay, if I go now, there are no jobs. Okay, if I'm creating the job inside with the connection of physical server name, not with the connection of listener name, with the connection of server name. So I will say normal job. Just anything is fine, just for testing. I'm just giving something. So I will say select @ version. Doesn't matter. So it's just a job. It got created. Okay. And now you can see this job. You can see this job under the agent when I connect with server name. When I connect with listener name, and if I go to my agent, are you seeing this job? No. Right? Normal job. Is that appearing? No. Now, if I create a new job, I'll say cluster sorry, content availability group, right? CAG job, I'll say CAG job, and I'm creating a job, dummy job. I'll say @ server name, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And now I got a new job. When I connected with listener, I can see this new job, CAG job. Refresh, you can see this. Okay, now if I refresh node 1, which is primary, okay, if I go to the agent, are you seeing this job, CAG job? No. Okay, first difference. Second thing, if I open this security tab and if I go to the logins, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 logins. Okay, but if I open the same logins, when I connect with the server name, I can see dbm underscore login. This is not having any sysadmin rights. Okay, and I'm able to see nt-authority/system. This is also not having any sysadmin rights. But if I connect with listener name, I'm not able to view those two logins, dbm underscore login and nt-authority/system is missing. Why? Why? Because when you connect with listener name, in case of content availability groups, you can only see the logins that are part of sysadmin. Only sysadmin logins will appear here, not other logins. For your information, if I just create a new login, for example, test, I've just created some password. I'll say test. Okay, test is appearing here. And if I refresh this class listener name, and if I go to the security and logins, test, I'm not able to view the test. But if I grant sysadmin for my test, okay, if I refresh this, sorry, security logins, I should see test. Just maybe if it is configured before, then only those logins are appearing, or if I create it afterwards, maybe it might not be appearing. So I will double check this item. But are you seeing the differences? Are you noticing the differences? The logins that are appearing for me when I connect with server name is not appearing when I connect with listener name. That is the important thing that you have to observe. And if I create any login here, I will say test CAG, it will not appear over there when I connect with the server name. So what is this all shitty things? See, test CAG is there. Now if I go here and if I refresh this, it is not appearing. Test CAG is not appearing when I connect with server names. So where is this login is being stored now? Test CAG. And how about this job? What is the job? We have just created one job, right? CAG job. So where this information is getting stored now?
Master
CAG
MSDB.
underscore master.
Local master MSDB.
So that is how it is appearing. So if I go now and if I open this up, CAG underscore job will be inside my this system database, and CAG, what is that? CAG is some login. Test CAG login will be stored under these databases. So if I fail over, I need not worry about the jobs that are being created with listener connection. Any job that you have created with listener connection or any login that you have created with listener connection will get transferred to other nodes automatically, but not the other things. Okay. So for your example, I am creating two alerts now. One inside my with the server connection. If you see SQL node 1, this is just an alert. Okay. And this is one more alert. This time it is with the listener name. Okay. So now if I go to the alerts, I can see error 18 alert under my class with the listener name. And if I go here and if I expand this, I can see only 17. 18 is missing. Okay. So likewise, whether it is job, alerts, operators, proxies, whatever you do, if you are doing with listener name, all those information would get stored inside my MSDB. Similarly, if I create any linked server, for example, if I go to the linked server and if I say SQL node 2, SQL server, and I will connect with fourth option. Okay, so linked servers, where is that? Yeah, so SQL node 2 is my linked server and the test connection is fine. But if I go to my server, the regular server, not with the listener connection, if I open this up, it will not appear. There are no linked servers. So now you will be able to understand importance of these two system databases, master and MSDB. So whatever the objects that you are creating with while connecting with the instance to the instance using listener name, so those objects would get saved inside my master and MSDB respectively, depending upon the objects what you are going to create. If it is jobs or proxies or operators or alerts, it will be inside MSDB. Any logins or linked servers, anything like that, it will be stored inside my master. So that is the difference.
Suppose if we give the DB1 the permissions for the database, will it appear in the cluster in the listener?
See, permissions
Instead
is
of
at the
listener name.
database level. Database level, right?
Yeah,
So database level,
yes.
it's the support is already there. You need not worry about anything related to database. The concept of contained availability groups is something outside the database scope. Means linked servers, alerts, operators, jobs, all these are outside the scope of the database. So all those things are the important things that I need to worry about. So those things are saved inside my master and MSDB databases. So now there will be plenty of questions because whatever the things what you are going to do, you have to do it with the listener name only, not with server names. If you do with server names, it will be stored inside the main master and MSDB databases. It will not be there inside my this availability group underscore master and availability group underscore MSDB. It will not be there. So do you think this topic is useful? Yes, it is useful for the people who are not aware how to synchronize the database objects across the replicas. For example, I'm a developer, okay, and I don't know anything about availability groups. I don't know how to take care of my logins. I don't know how to take care of the jobs, all those things. So if I am in that case, if I am in that category, then I will create my contained availability groups so that everything, whatever I get, whatever I create during the process of my testing, it would get transferred automatically to the secondary replica. I need not worry about them because I have these databases that is being taken care of all those shitty things. Okay, so just imagine guys, the role of DBA is getting trimmed day by day. On a day by day basis, the role of DBA is getting trimmed, right? For the moment, we have the few caveats. Just for your information, it doesn't support replication. It doesn't support distributed availability groups. It doesn't support log shipping as a target database. So there are few things that are not being supported for the moment. And in my part 2, I will show you how to configure CDC, how to configure log shipping, and how to configure TDE. Those are my upcoming sessions. I will do it some other time. But these are the fundamental differences.
See, this session is content database, content availability group with without FCI and fellow cluster, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's possible to with cluster, right?
Yeah, it's fine. It's one at the same. I don't want it to create domain and add these missions to domain. So I
Okay,
just created
so
this.
so that time we can easy to fail or fail back and all this stuff.
Even if we can do failover, it's not a big deal. Now, if I go now, and if I wanted to perform failover, it will be a manual failover. Let's go to node 2 failover. But if I failover, thing is that if I wanted to connect with listener, I have to add that entry into my host file. That is the only thing. Before failing it over, I would like to change it to synchronous so that it will be easy for us to carry out that action. Just remember guys, don't do the failovers with asynchronous mode. It's always a risky thing. Let's go change this to synchronous and then we can do. I'm just changing to synchronous. I'm not changing the failover mode to automatic. It's not possible. I'm just changing the mode. Okay, now if I go to the dashboard, everything looks green. And if I refresh this now, it will be synchronized. And you wanted to see what is there inside my system databases. So it will be one at the same, guys. See, for example, if I open the master and if I open this master, just look at the system tables. I'll open this up. 5 system tables are there. MS replication, fallback, DB, dev usage, same tables, no change, right? This is my main master database and this is my contained master database. One at the same. And if I open the MSDB, of course, you know MSDB, but still MSDB tables. System tables, it will be same thing, auto admin, backup related, log shipping, all the stuff. And now if I go to my contain availability group MSDB, those tables are one and the same. But I would like to see how the information will be passed across the replicas and what information will be stored inside my system databases. So I didn't practice that. I will try to do some other interesting demos, and I will show you in my next session. So for the moment, it's just a basic session. Okay, so now let's do the failover. I should have saved the password. Synchronous commit. Why it is showing data loss and warnings? Because that are not synchronized. Is that the case? We're seeing everything as green, right? No data loss. Failover readiness is no data loss. Okay, let me refresh this. And I've shown you, I wanted to show you one thing, right? So is this icon differing? I just wanted to see that icon. It's just the same thing, right? Contain availability groups icon and the other icon. Okay, the small difference is, see this box. I think I've saved this in my MS Paint. There is one box on top of these two servers. Just that box is not appearing here for the regular availability groups. But in case of contained availability groups, you can see that box, the small box on top of the servers. Are you seeing this? It's very small. I'm sorry for that, but there is a difference. Even the icon is
Yeah.
differing. So this icon says that this is not the regular availability group. This is contained availability group. Failover. Let's see. Next. It's okay, fine. I don't care. I didn't test the failover yet, but I'm doing it on the fly. Let's see.
I think we have to use the command only for this clusterless.
Is it so? Because I never worked on clusterless. Let's see that failover, routing. Sony routing.
Just come up.
Failover. They have not given. I think failover.
Yeah, here the command is.
Cannot failover availability group tests in sentence class. Only force failover support. So I have to run like this then. But it says success. Let's see how it looks. It went fine. It says primary. This should be secondary. Okay. How about dashboard? Okay, it says suspended. So let's resume those. I'll first resume the normal databases and see if that works. Yeah, it's fine. I think it's always better to do it from commands for these kind of things. But usually I prefer to do it from GUI because GUI will alert you if something is not ready. At least it will say, because if I use command, I don't know whether they are really in sync or not. That is my problem. Okay, we are done. So now if I go to my agent and if you see my jobs, that jobs are not appearing, right? The normal job. If you see in the node 1, I have created a normal job. That job is not there because we didn't take care of any jobs. But if I connect with the listener, let me connect with listener. For that, I have to add that listener again on node 2. I think I have done that. Yeah, it is there. 10.1.0.5. Okay, node 2's IP address. It's not node 1's IP address. Clusterless AG. Now if I connect, I should be seeing CAG job. See, that job is there, and that login, CAG login, something we have created, test CAG, it is there. And even the linked server should appear now. So if I fail over, I need not worry about all these things. As you can see, this is the beauty of content availability groups. And if I create the objects, what I have created on node 1, like test login and DBM login, those logins are not there on node 2. Just like our normal traditional availability groups, I have to make use of PowerShell tools or the other mechanisms, whatever you feel. You have to take care of all those things. Test is not appearing. As you can see, the job, even the job, whatever I've created is not appearing. Even the alert will not appear over here because 17 alert is missing. But 18th alert, CVRT alert 18, whatever I've created, it will be there. See? So that's the difference. From now, I need not worry about my logins, my linked servers, my operators, my alerts, all those stuff. It will be taken care by my content availability groups. So again, they trimmed the job of DBS.
But only thing is that we have to create all these things in.
Yeah, when you're connecting to the instance, you have to make use of listener name. If by any chance, if you make use of server names, then it will not get replicated. You have to be making use of our listener names. That's the topic, guys. So there are many things that I wanted to perform on this, and I'm planning to do more things on 2022 and some real-time scenarios with clockings and deadlocks. That will be super interesting. There are all planned, but only thing is I cannot take regular sessions. Unlike in my previous days where I took my Azure sessions continuously, I can't do it now because of some reasons. So I will take random sessions, something like this. And I cannot invite to all the people because I have created a separate group. So I have to respect that group first. So few sessions I will take for all, but few sessions it is bound only to my group. So that's why I'm saying if anyone is interested, contact me. I'm promising you, the takeaways will be something very great. It will not be something that is there on the internet. I'm doing everything practically, and it has to be new. Otherwise, I won't teach at all. Okay. So if anyone really wants to know the subject and really wants to, improve their skills, definitely I will guide you. I know the people who have joined from my group, they know, like the WhatsApp group, if they have joined, they know the discussions, what we are doing on a daily basis is something very different. I've not seen in any other groups. If someone posts the question, that question will be there all the time. No time for others to answer. I do agree. I'm not commenting on other groups. What I'm saying is we don't have time, but I'm giving time for others and I'm answering those questions. Okay. Anyways, I have to wrap this up. I'll catch you some other time. Thanks for your participation. So next session will be super interesting with all real-time demos.
Thank you, Vamshi. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Thank you, Vamshi.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vamshi. Thank you so much.